Hello, and welcome to Digital Learning's webinar on the new STAAR question types and digital resources that you can use to help prepare your students for the STAAR test, which we all know starts this spring.
Mhm.
Okay, so my name is Karen Goebel, and I am a program coordinator with Digital Learning. And
I'm also a program coordinator from Digital Learning, and I'm Emily Nordhausen.
all right, so what we're going to do first, let me get to this, is we're going to just look at some examples, right,
Mhm.
in some of our digital resources. We plan to use Schoology and Nearpod, and Emily's going to show you all of the Schoology examples, and I will be showing you the Nearpod examples.
All right, to get started, the very first question type that we're going to look at today is the equation editor. And for this question type, students will be able to give information in a variety of forms using built-in equation editors on the STAAR test. So to do this in Schoology, I've created a math short answer question. And when students type in the text box, it actually allows them to type math answers. And so we're going to put a problem in real quick, or an answer, I should say, to show you that students can get numbers and symbols to solve the problem.
All right.
All right. And so how would you do this in Nearpod?
All right, so in Nearpod, I have an example. Now, Nearpod works a little bit differently than Schoology. So for Nearpod, the students will not get the equation editor here. So our suggestion for this is, so that they are like a teacher, is to use the new Nearpod feature that we have now available in Klein, and that is for the students to go to their dashboard and to click on Nearpod. And then when they open it up, they will have the ability to create their own Nearpod test or quiz or whatever they want. And when they're doing that, then they would have the feature that the teacher has, like you see right up here, to use the equation editor to type in. Because the key is the kids have to understand how to use that equation editor. So the more practice we give them with using that, the better they're going to be on STAAR.
Awesome. All right, the second question type that we're going to look at today is text entry. And for this question type, I'm going to show you how students can respond to open-ended questions with text entry. So I have an example here, and in Schoology, this is called fill in the blank text. And so for this question type, you do not need to include a word bank, but it is optional. So I'm going to quickly fill in the three names of the people from this question. And that's how I can start practicing typing for this question type. Why don't you show how this is done in Nearpod?
Okay, so in Nearpod, and I'm going to pop this out so it's a little bit bigger there. So in Nearpod, we have the open-ended question, and this is a great one for you to use because we know that kids are going to also have the short constructive response and a long constructive response on all subjects in on the STAAR, and they'll have that text entry. So this is a great way for you to practice those keyboarding skills, getting kids used to typing in online in a question.
And if you actually go back to Schoology and you press the next question, I have a constructed response type question, and this is called short answer. So students are able to continue practicing those typing skills within Schoology.
Yep, and it has a limit here, which they are able to adjust. It is at 10,000, but you can set that to whatever you would like it to be to keep it a definite short answer or a long, whichever. Okay.
All right, the next question type is graphs. And so students will need to create lines, graphs, bar graphs, and other related functions. In Schoology, this is going to be a chart question. And for the chart questions, there are different types. You can do a line graph, but my example is of a bar graph. And so Karen's going to scroll down, and I think there were 66 green beans. So she's going to come up to 66. And I love that the students can actually manipulate this. They're not just looking at a multiple choice question and choosing which graph is correct.
That's right. It ups that rigor, gives it a little more. The kids have to really understand how to make a graph in this type of question.
And so how would you do this in Nearpod?
So in Nearpod now, and as we've talked before, some of our digital resources lend themselves better to certain STAAR question types. Oh, this saved my answers.
That's
But that's
okay.
okay, because we were practicing, so we're going to erase this. But anyway, so here we have a
draw it activity.
A draw it activity. Thank you, Emily. I drew a blank there. So the kids are able to use the highlighter, they can use the pen, they can change the color, the width, and they're simply going to draw. Now you could do that same question that Emily was showing in Schoology by putting a paper copy. You would upload a paper copy in here, and then the kids would color and mark their bar
their bar
graph.
graph, right.
And they could still complete and make their own bar graph. Yeah.
All right. The next question we're going to look at is another math question, and that is number lines. So students are going to give their answer on a number line. And so in Schoology, this is also called number line, and students are able to select whatever. It actually in Schoology, it doesn't have to be a math problem. You can do this with dates.
Oh, yeah.
Of different events. So I've seen that done in social studies. You can, and so here we have just a fraction, fractions on a number line.
Yeah, they don't have to be numbers. They can be words. You're right. That is really good.
And so in Nearpod, there is a way you can do this as well.
Okay, so in Nearpod, here I am again in another draw it activity. Draw it happens to be one of my favorites. And I love how you can put information in here. You can put your resources that kids can click on to read. So think about those reference charts on the STAAR that they have. So you could build that in there, and then they would simply come to here and start drawing. And as I showed in an example earlier, they can add pictures. So they could come in.
It's time to look for a cat.
Let's look for a cat. So they could add an image. And I love that this is a Google safe search, so you don't have to worry about copyright. And then they can put that on there and move it around. So they could do images, but then they can also add text boxes and put their answers in as well. So there they are, getting that practice again with that the text,
typing,
that text entry.
Which is so important. We're hearing that on every campus we visit.
Everyone wants to know, how can I practice those keyboarding skills? Well, you need to be giving them plenty of practice on that computer.
So the next STAAR question type we're going to look at is called inline choice. And for this question type, students are going to use a drop-down menu to select an answer instead of multiple choice questions. So we see pretty much the exact same thing here in Schoology, but this is called fill in the blank drop-down. So we have an ELA question here where students are correcting the correct form of the word there. How would you do this in Nearpod?
So in Nearpod, this time I'm on one called fill in the blank. Now it's not going to be exactly the same because we don't have that drop down option, but what I could have done is typed this out, and I could have those three words there, and there down here for them to place in the correct sentence there. But yeah, they would just simply drag and drop this in where they think it would belong.
Yeah, so if you just had the sentence and then you had two blanks after the sentence, and then the incorrect answers just go after the sentence, and that would work. All right, the next question choice, and we're gonna go back to Schoology, is going to be one of my favorite Schoology question types, which is hotspot. So the question type in Schoology is highlight hotspot, and on the STAAR test, it's just called hotspot. So for this question type, answers are chosen by hovering over a specific point of a reading or graphic. And so this can be done in two ways. If it's a hot spot, it's going to be a graphic. If it's hot text, it's going to be over text. And so question 8 shows the same thing happening, but over text. And so this one says, highlight the word that means not satisfied. So we're able to select dissatisfied, and you can select more than one answer. And Nearpod has two ways that you can do this for text. and for images. And so
Yeah.
Karen, why don't you share with us?
So on this one here, we've gotten a image in here. And so I could just tell them, instead of them finding a hotspot on this one, I would just have them highlight hotspots or areas that I want them to focus on. Okay, so they could highlight that. They could use it in more than one different, another color and that sort of
Mhm.
thing. So we could do it here. The other example is like with this one, where, let's just clear that off, where I've embedded a poem, and now they're going to go and highlight. So just like that one that Emily showed in Schoology, where she was trying to find the word. So I could just, I wanted to
Well, they could
use-
underline at the
they
pen.
could
and then-
underline, but I was looking for the highlighter probably. But yeah, they could underline,
and just like as we were
circle.
erasing, if they made a mistake like that, they could always go back, or
Yep.
they could erase.
They can erase,
All right.
undo. Mhm.
All right, the next question type we're going to look at is called drag and drop. And what's interesting is in Schoology, it's not actually called drag and drop, it's called label image, because you are labeling an image. And a cool feature with this question type in Schoology is that you can actually add extra answers that are not going to be used, and that ups the rigor a little bit, makes it more challenging, but you don't have to.
Right.
It's just an option. How would you do this in Nearpod?
So in Nearpod, we're going to use a drag and drop.
So it is called drag and drop here. It's just
Oh, it took a minute to load, but yes, it's called drag and drop. And
we had already gone through and practiced this, but notice each item could have only been used once. And so Karen's gonna now drag them over.
yeah, and you're just going to place them, where you think they belong. So it's just a drag and drop with a nice little graphic there.
All right, and the final question type that we are going to look at today is going to be the match table grid. And for this type of question, what students need to do is classify objects or words into tables. So in Schoology, we're going to use the matching question type. I love that you can actually include audio to support your English language.
To break down and spread out evenly in a liquid.
Yeah, what a great way to give the ELs and their language supports that they need.
And you could add
And
images
dyslexic.
or videos as well. What would you do in Nearpod?
So in Nearpod, we are going to use another drag and drop. And for this one, you can see now this one was one where that it is set up so you could actually put this on all of them, even if it wasn't the correct one. So it just keeps making it clones, like makes the answer more than once there. So they can use that, but they would label this. So here is a table, and they would drag and put things in the correct spot on the table.
I love it.
I do too. I love these questions.
Well, thank you for joining us as we've gone over how to support your students in on their STAAR test, getting them ready with those question types, because we know that teachers are using Schoology and Nearpod as part of their daily lessons. So these are ways that we can make sure that as we use those resources, we're still supporting those new STAAR question types. And if you would like more support, you can always reach out to one of us or your digital learning specialist. So we're going to actually show you, if you go to our website, which is the URL is in the left-hand corner, it's kisd.us/digilearn, that's digital learning. In the right-hand corner, you see campus support. So we have our entire team is here, and you see which campuses we support of intermediate, high school, and elementary. So please reach out for any questions, or if you'd like help incorporating these question types into your lessons. And we thank you for coming.
I know. Good evening, good afternoon, whatever. Bye.
Bye.